Hello, hello, hello. It's time for another Gateway to Geats. This time on episode 40. I don't say the episode numbers enough in these videos. Here, so let's just do it a couple more times for the sake of prosperity. 40, 40, 40, 40, 40. So, this is the whole video series just talking about the themes of Geats and everything. So, like, desire, it comes up a lot. You know, we talk about desire and how the show looks at and it talks about and analyzes any of these things. And we talk about how it affects the ones who are trying to implement their desire, trying to make their desires come true. How Keiwa doesn't have a fully nuanced version of his desire. How Buffa, Michinaga, is very angry about it, so on and so forth. Neon is not recognizing the love and appreciation she has around her, so on and so forth. But we don't really we did at the very beginning with the pond, but we don't really show how desires work when they cause harm. Like, we don't show the ones who want to cause harm. And this episode is full of that kind of stuff. We have the DGP staff basically enabling the worst in Baroba and Kekara and just giving them the tools to abuse Michinaga and Keiwa. Just full on making their lives harder and just going like, alright, cool, do what we want, here you go, do whatever. Just full on enabling just to end this world as they see fit. We also have a scene with Neon's mom where she is devastated that her husband is being taken away to be questioned and prosecuted under the threat of law, and her daughter comes home. Neon's there, and it's like, oh. And she goes like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I fucking freaked out. You're not a replacement daughter. You are Neon. You are my daughter." And like, you're immediately going like, "Oh, she's learned her lesson," and all this kind of stuff. And then she immediately just wants to lock Neon down, control her, because she's afraid now of losing anything. She lost her daughter once. She's lost her daughter again, and now she's lost her husband. She's a broken woman, and like, you understand, you sympathize with these things, but Neon says no because she's gotten out of the situation. She wants to grow. She wants to be her own person. And it is very clear her mom is struggling and just doesn't have any support system. But realistically, Neon has no reason, no obligation to give her that support system. She was abused by her mom. Well, it's not physically, but it was emotional. It was that kind of thing. And then we truly get to the absolute fuck nugget. So Ned Sparrow is breeding little tiny Yamato parasites because he's fucking whacked in the head. And through some way and how, he's able to infect people and gain the knowledge that he so seeks in this crude, cannibalistic, gross abuse of science, right? And ultimately, he seems to be playing along with Baroba and Kekera and just infects Sarah. And it's a new type of infection that you see them crystallize, and when the Yamato that comes out is died because they're fully like linked now. You can't just get rid of it. They're 100% like linked. The person who was infected dies. And Buffa didn't know that. Buffa wasn't aware of any of that and just beat the Yamato that he saw that was causing harm and causing problems. And he kills Sarah as Keiwa runs into the scene as he was looking for her. Keiwa is obviously devastated, and boy howdy, like, it's a very emotional scene. It's very intense. It's Keiwa going like, "Hey, did you kill her?" And he goes like, "Yeah, I did." And Michinaga does not flinch, he does not wince, he takes it on the fucking cheek because he knows Keiwa needs some outlet, and Michinaga is strong enough to be able to handle it. And I can understand some people going like, "Oh, Keiwa has gone too far now. He's consumed by grief. He's not gonna. He can't think clearly. All that kind of stuff." And it's like, no, he just lost his sister. All that kind of stuff, and he punches Michinaga once, gets on top of him, and goes like, "What the fuck?" And then just starts sobbing. Like it's not like he kept beating him while he was down there, you know. But Keiwa's devastated, and Samuri sees it, and it seems like she makes a wish of some kind. We don't know the full context of what that could be, but it does look like Keiwa has finally met his tragedy quota to get that power up. And it's interesting because we've been going like, oh, Keiwa needs power up, Keiwa needs power up. We've been Kekera. We've been going like, oh yeah, he's gonna get shit. He's gonna get tragedy, and he's gonna get a power up. And now that it's happened, the mirrors kind of reflect it. It's the you enjoy all the killing of Metal Gear Solid, right? Snake is a player character, and he was doing what we wanted him to, and so we wanted to beat the bad guys. So he killed all the players. Killed all the characters, right? We are people watching Kamen Rider, and we are seeing this character, and we want them to improve and get better. But in order to improve and get better, the story dictates that tragedy must befall. And it's sort of like we are Kekera. The only difference is that there's the distinction of the real and the unreal, the fiction and fantasy. But realistically, we do this to characters all the time. We put tragedy onto beings that we try to make fully formed real humans and torment them. And that's an interesting way to look. Like, it's there. That thought process is there. And I don't want to say it's like is pointing a mirror at us and going like, look at what you are, but it is making us kind of like recontextualize tragedy in a certain way of like, what is our desire here? Is our desire to see good triumph? And if that's the case, if we as an audience are desiring good to be triumphant, why are we celebrating or looking forward to another character dying? You know, that's getting into super hyper metatextual conceptualizations of fiction and that form of unreality. That's a rabbit hole that not many people should or would want to go down. So let's just move on from that, because after last episode, it's just really kind of like talking about altruism of like, do you need your desire to be a good person? Do you need that carrot in order to just do what's right? This episode shows that desires without care, without process, without nuance are incredibly dangerous. Whether that's putting someone back into a situation that can be harmful to her, like Neon, Kekara, and Baroba not giving a shit about anybody they hurt and only about their entertainment, or the DGP just wanting this whole thing be over, or even Ned Sparrow, who only sees his knowledge and not any of the chaos he is enabling. It just really drives home the point of how destructive, truly selfish desires can be. And ultimately, I think this is what the first Game Master was worried about, was these truly selfish desires. And that's what he saw Geats was making. And I think it's interesting, you know? Like, he's not... The first Game Master wasn't right, but he wasn't wrong. He just had the wrong... He was pointing the finger at the wrong person. Overall, this was a really great episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It also just sets up a lot of fun things to see in the next couple episodes. And, okay, I think there should be a conversation briefly about Sarah, Keiwa, and just the function of storytelling, because you could very easily say Sarah got fridged because a character died for the character development of a female character died for the development of a male character. Yes, on one very fundamental level, Sarah got fridged. That is perfectly. If you have that problem with this plot point, you were totally fair to have that, right? To me, though, I think the fact that it is purposeful fridging, right? Like, in the story, it is a fridge. It is a plan by Kakarot, literally, to kill her to give character motivation to Keiwa. In the story context, it is making a point to basically critique fridging of a female character. Is it the right way of doing it? No, because they are still fridging a character, but it is trying to make a point about it, and I think that point is interesting to see. And I cannot wait to see more. But hey, you know what you can do to see more videos from me? You can like, comment, and subscribe on this YouTube channel to see this video and many more. You can also follow me on a variety of social media platforms. I'm sorry about that, excuse me. At Boingo_Rider on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. And you can also follow me on Tumblr. Link is in the description. You can also join my Discord server. We do a large variety of things there. Do you like talking about collecting toys? You can do that. Do you want to talk about the latest movies and comics and tokusatsu? Sure, you can do that too. We also do wrestling, and hey, me and Vac are back on the wrestling bug, and we're probably going to be doing a lot more watch-alongs. So if you like wrestling, you can come in, hang out. We watch some craps. But as always, it is time for the comments. First up from Fish Pop. Now we know what Keikera and Baroba wish for, and Buffa is back to his original form. Speaking of, Tycoon's getting an upgrade next time. Nespero is making Mini Yamato. That new GM seemed to have a dramatic reveal, implying we should know who he is. Yeah, no, I didn't recognize that guy. Maybe he's a more noted actor in Japan? That maybe what? He's like, oh, you should recognize this man. I don't know. Probably not. But, yeah, no. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Buff is back to his base form. He doesn't have the power up. And I like how in this episode he was like, yeah, no, I don't need it anymore. I'm not fighting Kamen Riders. We're working, like, I have learned my lesson. I do not blame the player. I blame the game. And I think that's neat. I think that's rather neat. Next up from, hold on, this is a new name, so we're gonna give this a college try. Fiamita. I'll try that. Fiamita. If Fiamita is wrong, please correct me. If you care. If you don't, whatever. I'm sorry. I don't know. We'll figure this out. Just gotta say, I've loved your videos, watched a whole set of reviews in about a month, and your analysis is on point. My favorite implication of this most recent episode is two things. One is that Keiwa has never truly been a hero. A good man, yes, but his ignorance and selfishness have caused him no small number of issues. From Ace questioning his resolve in Arc 1 to his refusal to see the cost of using the goddess to undo her actions just 2 weeks ago. Second is that Ace and Neon, creations of the DGP, are moving forward more easily than Keiwa and Michinaga, two previously contented victims who have been irrevocably warped by his presence. I'm hoping that the other three get their final form from stealing their own resolve to fight, but the power to do so is one of the changes Ace has made to this new world. Yeah, it's very clear that Keiwa is a really good dude, and if he was in a different universe, he would be thriving. He is very much shonen protag energy in a story that's not shonen protag. Like, he cannot win with the power of friendship. And I think that's to his detriment, because he doesn't recognize that, like, good intentions aren't enough. You also have to have a good plan and a good reason and a good logic, and that's not something he's been able to fully grasp. And I think that's truly coming to bite him in the ass, you know, especially with this episode. Yeah, and those two are definitely moving on a little bit easier because maybe it is something to do with the fact that they don't have super deep connections to this world, or that those connections they did have were irrevocably shattered with the case of Neon. And maybe that ultimately does inform that their desire to just move on is stronger because they're not holding on to something in the past. Does that have full blown legs? Maybe, but it could definitely be workshopped some, especially with how like Kekara, Baroba, Tsumi, Tsurumi all are like reacting to this new world, and you have Punk Jack, Keiwa, and Michinaga were acting slightly different. It's interesting, you know? From Toa Nui. So I don't have much to say about this episode, but one thing that's been on my mind, are we supposed to know who this new Game Master is? Because I don't recognize them. Although that could be because I haven't seen any of the Geats related movies. He wasn't in Revice. Revice video coming soon, I swear. Also, if it weren't for you and Fishpop, I would have never realized that was Nage. Another thing that's been bothering me a little is it felt like to me like Keiwa was a bit too suspicious of Keikara, since I'm pretty sure he hasn't quite seen the more devious side of his sponsor yet, although his gripe may just be from the subs I used. On a different note, I wonder if every former writer got their memories back. Does that mean they regained their lost desires as well, since that is what happened when someone returned to the game during the proper DGP. The writer that changed normal guns into special guns was Kuga. Although, I suppose I've only seen maybe 2 to 3 episodes of Agito, so maybe they both have that. Finally, I gotta say, I wasn't expecting to write, I gotta say, as my first sentence 2 weeks in a row, when I realized I did that, I had to write this sentence. Hey! We all have our catchphrases. I have too many dumb ones. Yeah, his reveal is very much like a who? Whomst are you? He's probably... I'm banking on he's a slightly known actor in Japan. And they got him, you know? Or maybe it's just like, oh, we have a new guy. It's not the old guys anymore. Oh, who knows? And yeah... I think it's more obvious. It is much more obvious, other than the fact that they say like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Nedge? Here's your fucking core." And he goes like, "No, I don't need that. I'm a cockroach man." But yeah, no, it is Ned Sparrow, and I think partially Keiwa is just suspicious of Kekara just because it's like, you aren't supposed to be here anymore. What the fuck are you doing here? Also, you broke into my house. Gross. Were they in their house? I don't remember. Fuck it. Hashtag fuck it. Yeah, no, maybe every writer getting their power back, it's like, you know? And it makes me think of, like, I just talked about the Punk Jack special, yesterday. Link in the card right here. You can go watch it now. Like, oh man, does that mean Punk Jack's band member has his full memory back? What does it like? What does the memory erasing thing contextually mean? You know, ooh, all the memories are back. So like, Japan, what the fuck is going on with him? Holy shit, he's around there being a fucking megalomaniac serial killer. Who knows? We'll see. And yeah, you're right. It was Kuga. It was the first Heisei writer, so I don't think Agito did it. I get Kuga and Agito like flip flopped in my head. I think it's just because Agito starts with an A, and I go like, oh, A first, right? It's not. No, it's Kuga's first. Kuga's first. And finally, from Esconde. Really like the focus on character interactions this episode, and that everyone's in their civilian clothes in the outdated opening. The episode also highlights something that I wish was brought up a few episodes ago, the spark gleam stored in the ID cores, which was talked about in the Punk Jack special. I'd been wondering what there was to stop someone with the access rights, Sir Kakara Baroba, from making unlimited wishes, and this is the explanation I'm content with. It also is interesting that even though Ace is the god of creation now, there is still limits to his new powers. This is me nitpicking again. The writers having Keikara talk about the goddess atoning for her sins when she was already died feels a bit excessive, in my opinion. Wish he instead talked about finding a way to bring back the people who were lost in spite of this. The insight from Michinaga was great to see, though, talking about how Ace fighting for him by himself might be his way of atoning for his mother's sins. Also great to see Sarah helping Neon get settled into her new place. And I hope, like others theorize, that the new form we see for Keiwa in the preview is only incomplete, like Ace's Mark III, and that the full form ends up looking cooler. Well, we've seen some more captures of what the full form is, and it looks good. I think it looks good. And yeah, no, the limitation on Witches is good. He doesn't have enough juice, and that's cool, that's fair. But also, like, Baroba and Keikara's Wishes doesn't take that much juice, so, like, there's wiggle room all around. And I can understand that complaint with Keiwa bringing up the Sins thing again, but I think that's mostly just because that was the thing he was going on about in the past couple episodes. So, this is, like, a way for him to, like, a way for the writers to go, like, alright, cool, that little thing is buttoned up, we're now moving on to this next part of Keiwa's character, right? Like, he's not worried about, like, the Sin things. He's like, okay, I understand it. Like, you just need to finish that up. You need to finish the thought. That's the period, right? But, hey, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you subscribe to see some more. And, tune in next time. Keep on geeksing on.